Welcome to the Vault XL. Thank you for joining me. This is a three-part live, and I will also discuss any other topics that I can give commentary on to my choosing. But the first topic will be the 8 Memphis officers that were involved in the destruction of a black man, aiding and watching the beating of Tyre Nichols by officers of the Memphis Police Department. Also, I'll be discussing Gabby Petito. Injuries have not been revealed of that video filmed by officers of her stop with Brian Laundrie. And 2 rappers and a friend out of the Detroit area who were found abandoned in a Highland Park apartment building basement. The families are frustrated with the case. This is an open chat pertaining to all those subject matters, and if I decide to engage in any other topics, I will. But let me first start off by sending prayers to the children who imbibed marijuana products in candy at the Vine Middle School in Knoxville, Tennessee, here where I live. I got information today that a child came to school with edibles and passed them out to students. 11 children were found unconscious at Vine Middle School. So if anyone has any children or family members in the Knoxville area, Knoxville, Tennessee, the east side of Knoxville, this information may be pertinent to you. When I get an update, I will bring it to you. I was going to go on the ground today to the school, but with traffic in the area where I live in, didn't want to tackle all that today. I will possibly be on the ground tomorrow to show you the school and just possibly maybe talk to a few people in the community to get their opinion pertaining to this information. I will possibly even go live tonight after the news breaks on our local station and get a few people to come up on the panel that are from my area to give their opinion pertaining to this very horrific news out of Knoxville, Tennessee. Once again, 11 children found unconscious at Vine Middle School. They were given edibles by another child. Do not know if it's a boy or a girl that gave out the edibles. Do not know if they knew that the edibles contained marijuana products, whatever, however you want to word it. When I get this information, I will bring you an update. Thank you so much for joining me. Welcome to the Vault XL. Let's start off with Memphis, Tennessee.
It marks the 1-month anniversary since Tyre Nichols was stopped for what was initially described as reckless driving by the Memphis Police Department. In the weeks since, we have seen his celebration of life, candlelight vigils, officers fired, and fire department personnel disciplined.
And protests are still ongoing as communities around the country demand police reform in Tyre's name.
And politicians are moving swiftly to make sure this doesn't happen again. Right now, the Memphis City Council is meeting to discuss department reform with Memphis Police Chief C.J. Davis and Memphis Fire Chief Gina Sweat. Some council members are looking for change, calling for annual reviews of training techniques, updated traffic enforcement methods, and independent reviews of any incident involving excessive force.
Now, Chief Davis says she needs more supervisors watching over her officers. Here's just some of what she had to say.
I want a department that stands and is represented in a way that our community would be proud. And we're struggling with that in this incident and are willing to make the changes that are needed in order to address it and make difference for the future.
And just a short time ago, we learned 8 more officers will be notified of policy violations in connection to the Nichols case. The city planning to hold hearings next week before it releases additional video and evidence.
All right, thank you all so much. We need to change that title. So 8 more officers to face charges in this case. I just have a problem with this lady here because information has come out pertaining to her past at the at an Atlanta police department where she covered up evidence for a friend who was a sergeant. Now, I would assume this is her friend because why cover it up? The friend's husband was had allegations of child improprieties, sexual assault, and she aided this sergeant in covering up evidence. So to hear her speak here is a joke to me, because you are hired to do a certain job, which is protect the public. You are expected to sit at a higher standard than the average civilian, any civilian, matter of factly. But you did not do that job in Atlanta. I do not know what happened with your job in North Carolina. It's neither here nor there for me, because I can't put faith in you or anybody at this police department or any police department once I know that someone's working there that's been doing illegal dealings with the public. Whenever you are fudging evidence, forging evidence, withholding evidence, hiding evidence, stealing evidence, lying on police reports, harming civilians, I have a problem with you. I am not saying that everyone that's in the law capacity are evil or evildoers, but this lady cannot represent anyone breathing. That is my opinion. That's separate from the guys who watched the crime, aided the crime, the fire department that aided, and the guys who actually beat Tyre Nichols. But she cannot speak for no one, because you can't talk about what the community needs, what you need. You need supervisors. How would I trust you to do the right thing when you have a bad past back in Atlanta, Georgia, for covering up evidence in a case? And the case didn't even go forward from your supervision and your aiding and coveting your sergeant. And now you sit here at Memphis, Tennessee, talking about what you need down here in Memphis and blah, blah, blah. That means nothing to me. Now, Tyre's family may be on board with you being the chief. That is their prerogative. I'm not Tyre's family. I'm a citizen watching and looking through the glass, and the glass is murky. Matter of fact, it ain't no damn water in the glass. How about that? It's empty. Besides murky, it's empty. Ain't nothing in there. Because you have proven that you would lie. You would covet. And you want me to believe that you have what? Changed your ways? That you've done right in this short time you've been the chief of police in Memphis? You want me to believe that you have possibly not done the same behavior that you exhibited back in Atlanta, Georgia? Then I have to ask myself, why did you have such a short stay at the department in North Carolina? Or did somebody just say, it was your time up, we want somebody else? Because I won't doubt that past followed you there to North Carolina. I'm just saying. Because now we're talking about dirty fire departments, EMTs, dirty cops beating up a kid, a young man. Other cops 8 now facing charges. This is bad. And as someone said, are you all only making a mockery? Not a mockery, but arresting these guys because they're black. It's bad because it's black on black. But we've seen tons of cases of abuse of black men in the street and women where the officers were white and nothing was done. I mean, it's a stat that says rarely are police officers, rarely are they arrested in the case of death while on duty with a civilian. That's deep. Because the stat is basically saying they got the right to kill you because they're the officer, you're the civilian, you allegedly did something wrong, you said something wrong, you made the wrong move, you ran. Okay, I got the right to beat you to death or shoot you. But over here in Memphis, we're going to go ahead and string these guys up because we definitely can't have black officers beating black people. So is this a case of biasness in our own race, that you only arrested them because they were black cops? But if they were white cops, we'd be dallying around, waiting month for month to see what you were going to do with them if they were Caucasian. I've had a few people mention that. I've seen people talking about that on different channels and comments on articles. But that's the only reason why you arrested the cops is because they were black. But if they were white, you would have put them on administrative leave. I wonder how that would have turned out if these officers were Caucasian. Just saying. Prayers to the Nichols family. Tragic situation. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to go to my next story. Once again, prayers for the young people at Divine Middle School. Let's hear from his grandmother. WSBTV is the source. Thank you for joining me.
Tired of these people, these men that we birthed in the world, killing our baby for nothing.
Sorry, it's kind of low.
In a Channel 2 Action News exclusive, we're hearing from the grandmother of Tyree Nichols. She lives here in Metro Atlanta now, and this is the first time she's speaking out since her grandson's death. Channel 2's Aubrey Washington live in Midtown Atlanta. And Aubrey, the grandmother told you she can't bear to even watch that police body cam video.
Right, she still has not seen that video in its entirety, only short clips on the news. But she told me today that she is coming forward for the first time because she wants people to know exactly who her son Tyree, her grandson Tyree, was.
It said to grandma from Ty, age 13.
This is all Miss Johnny LaRae Honeycutt has left, memories and old pictures of her grandson, Tyree Nichols. She says at times, the grief is overwhelming.
I'm sorry.
In January, 29-year-old Tyree Nichols died after Memphis police officers beat him during a traffic stop. Following the release of the police body cam video, and after officials charged 5 officers involved with murder, protests broke out across the nation and here in Metro Atlanta. Ms. Honeycutt says she can't bear to watch the entire video. She's only seen one still image.
You can tell when that child is worried and he was scared. I looked in his eye and I saw what he was saying, but I didn't understand a word. Help me.
Yeah.
What did I do?
Thursday, inside her Metro Atlanta home, I asked Ms. Honeycutt what message she had for the officers seen in the video.
Killing our baby for nothing. My baby was a skateboarder. He worked at FedEx. He had the best mother and stepfather in the world. Why would you want to do that to him?
Next, Tyree Nichols' grandmother plans to turn her pain into purpose. She wants other grandparents of grandchildren who died during similar police interactions to take their heartbreak and voices to lawmakers in Washington.
We need to come down on Washington, D.C.
As for what she wants to say to her grandson,
you know you got a family that loves you and everything is going to be just fine. You don't have to worry about these people here anymore.
Lord have mercy.
and Ms. Honeycutt told me that she actually prays for the officers charged with her grandson's murder. And we are here live in Midtown Atlanta. Audrey Washington, Channel 2 Action News.
I mean, Audrey, I'm just wondering how she's holding up, going through this private heartbreak, but those images are everywhere.
Right, you know, when we cover these stories, we forget that there are real people behind these headlines. She told me that she is just taking it emotionally day by day. Linda?
Audrey Washington, thank you.
Killing our babies for nothing, Tyree's grandmother says. Exactly. That's true. For nothing. The black man, the black woman, he has always, and our children have always been moving targets. That's the spoken word. It's not a myth. It's not assumption. It's not assertion. It doesn't matter if you were well-to-do, doctor, lawyer, engineer, garbage man, thug, drug dealer, whomever, you are a moving target so long as you are black. You cannot expect a person to walk around in a two-piece suit every day exemplifying what you think is a decent black person. Because a black man could decide to go home, put on a jogging outfit, casual clothes to go to the gym, the grocery store, and become Tyre Nichols. That's the point. You don't know the day you're going to get a rogue cop, black or white, Hispanic. You don't know the day you're going to say something that's going to piss one of them off and he or she decides to go ham on you. And his cohorts participate in beating you to sleep and are watching and aiding. Now we've got the fire department jumping in on the madness. And that's even more disturbing to me than the actual cops that beat the young man and the others that watch. You're the fire department. You're not even with the fucking police department. And you will pull up on a scene. Allegedly, they said the black woman didn't even get out of the damn car, get out of the damn truck. The hell is that all about? It's almost like it was a conspiracy. And, I don't do those conspiracy theories, but something's off here. You pulled up and did what? Just pulled out your cell phone? Oh, we'll wait it out. He'll die. What's the truth to the fire department's role? Because if indeed they can show that one of you didn't even get out of the damn truck, baby, your ass is grass. Aiding and abetting. That'll be your charge. Neglect of a human being. You see, detectives always say that when they go to the scene of a crime and find persons, that it is not for them to decide if he or she is right or wrong and why they got dead. It's that they're a human life and we're here to detect, investigate. So we're not supposed to show biasness in investigating the crime, even if the person lying here dead was a dirty bird, had been a dirty bird, had done horrible things to man, woman, and child. And that's true. You have to be objective in being a detective, EMT, fire department, and also the doctor at the hospital, the nurse, because they all coincide together. And sometimes you get to the scene, you may have heard of this person and seen this person lying on the ground, and you know that they've been doing nefarious things, but you're still supposed to investigate and follow protocol and investigation. Don't hide anything, covet anything, fudge anything. Same thing with the doctor. He may see the person coming in, shot up, and may have heard he shot some people, killed some people, stabbed some people, but he is still supposed to render aid, he and his medical staff, despite what they think or heard about the person lying on the table. So that should be the attitude for the cops. When he or she gets to the scene, you are supposed to treat the person accordingly, no matter what you think or assume. So what happened on this fateful evening when they got to the scene with this man? You pulled him over because of what? He was driving recklessly. Was he driving recklessly? Even if he was, how did he end up dead days later? That's the point. People are drunk, inebriated, sleepy, tired, under the influence of drugs, pills, and they don't end up beat up. Because you're supposed to know how to apprehend a suspect, subdue a suspect without forceful injury. You are taught that in the academy. And you all have decided to be rogue cops out here and exact revenge, hatred towards man. And in this case, black on black crime, cop versus man, which is despicable. Is this a personal crime? A lot of gossip. It has been denounced by his family that this is true about it. It was over a woman, but nonetheless, it's still heinous no matter the motive, because you had no right to beat that guy, even if he was driving recklessly. So long as he had driver license insurance, that's state law here in Tennessee, you could have sent him off with a warning citation, however. So how did he get beat up? And as his grandmother says, she saw it in his eye. Yes, he was scared. That's why he took off running. He knew, he's heard, he's seen. You probably watched the video of George Floyd. Oh, hell no. I'm not about to be a repeat of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, anybody else. But you see how it ended up. He died. So imagine being beat up, clinging to life, sent to the hospital. They wouldn't even allow his own parents' family there. So he had nobody there by his side while he's fighting for life with tubes running through his body because he allegedly was driving recklessly. How did you end up in a hospital bed? Fighting for life, beat up, head swole, face swole, bodily injuries. His organs shut down. This is what you thought of Tyre Nichols, officers, EMT, fire department. You see, the body can only sustain so much. Unlike Rodney King, who was able to sustain life after being damn near beat to sleep, Tyre did not. How was it fair? And the sad part of the story, besides his death, is that it will happen again. Some unwilling person is going to be driving his or her car or walking down the street, and God forbid, he's accused of something. He looks like somebody, mistaken identity, weaving, bobbing, under the influence. God forbid they've got some type of paraphernalia on them, possibly involved in a crime. They also will meet their maker, such as Tyre, because of a rogue cop and cohorts. It is what it is. So you best to pray before you walk out your door, because you don't know how you're going to end up and if you're going to make it back to your house, because we have dirty cops out here that are bitter and angry and mad at the fucking world, and they want to take their vengeance out on innocent civilians. And black people, we know we are targets. We are targets when the cops ain't involved. Let me preach to you today. We're targets at work. We're targets walking down the street. We're targets where we live. It's always a fucking problem. It's always a complaint, a suspicion. I think they're doing this. I think this is going on. They look like this. I saw this going on. Bring a receipt or stay in your lane. A nosy Karen, nosy John, always instigating, fabricating, signifying. The reason why most black people end up in handcuffs because of the environment. Somebody said that you did this when you've done nothing. Now you've got to prove you've done nothing. What kind of life can that be? Walking around, always got to look over your fucking shoulders, worrying about something jumping off. You can't give your opinion. Oh my God, they got too loud. Oh, I fear for my safety. Just because I said, hey, I want my money back. Hey, this item doesn't work. Hey, I want a refund. Hey, can I speak to your manager, your supervisor? Now everybody's got to pull their cell phone out like somebody's trying to kill them. This is what it's like being black here. And if you're not African American, you will never be able to understand it. We can walk around all day trying to pretend the shit doesn't go on, it doesn't happen, but it's real. The slick ass talk, the slick ass jokes and comments. We're supposed to just laugh it off. Yeah, we've been laughing for what, 400 years? Well, guess what? The shit ain't funny no more. We're tired. We're tired. Don't group me in no box with nobody. I judge people according to their behavior. I don't look at the race. I don't look at how they're dressed. I look at how you behave. You act like a fool, then to me, you a fool. You don't got no sense. That's how I view you. You ain't got no sense. But this road cop attitude, it's got to cease. We have enough crime in America. We have enough black on black crime. We have enough black on white crime. We have enough white on white crime. We have enough crime every day. Heinous crimes every day. It gets old. It gets old when people cannot live in their own demographic. They cannot live in their own neighborhoods. There are 8 officers facing charges, dear. It is a total of 8. I just played the content. It gets old. People want to be able to live. People want to be able to thrive. There is no American dream if you have to look over your shoulders to walk down the street, go in the store, worry about your job, saying something out of the way. Can't give your opinion without being considered violent. I hear it all the time. Oh, you're mad? What are you mad about? Well, just because I gave my opinion, I didn't say I was mad. Your voice gets elevated. Oh, they're going to blow up the building. They're going to shoot everybody. No, most of us black folks, we don't do that. See, certain crimes we participate in. But rarely do we just shoot up a room, shoot up a schoolhouse. Yeah, I'm going to keep it real because it's frustrating. And see, I don't walk out my house focusing on negative things. I look at everybody the same. As I said, I speak to everyone. I talk to everyone. I don't look at you and think nothing. If you don't speak back, don't hold the door open, cool. I'm not going to walk around mad the rest of the day. I'm not going to walk around mad at my own race because they killed this man. And as you heard this grandmother saying, she's praying for him. That's a strong black woman. And she's living what God wants us to live like, is to still show people favor even in their worst moment. And it's hard to do because some of us wouldn't give a fuck about them officers. I don't care. Why should I care about them? They didn't care about him. My thought process is I am Tyree. Who's to say the day I walk out here or I was in Memphis, you would have had a problem with me for some reason? Why not? Because whether it's personal or not, you're still wrong. It's not your job to be an avenger. It's not your damn job. You're supposed to be protecting people, not avenging wrong. That's not the same. One moment, please. Thank you for joining me. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $sign Beganji 129 Cash App. All super chat stickers are welcome during the live. This next commentary is pertaining to Gabby Petito, WFLA News Channel 8 is the source. A new photo has been released pertaining to the injuries. The day that she and Brian Laundrie had an encounter with the police department, and her family has filed a suit against the Moab Police Department. Thank you for joining me.
A heartbreaking new photo of Gabby Petito has been released by attorneys representing her parents, and they say that this photo was taken around the same time that Petito and Brian Laundrie had an encounter with Utah police. Now, while this photo might be difficult for some, it was released with the approval of Gabby Petito's parents as they have filed suit against the Moab Police Department. You might remember back on August 12th of 2021, Moab police, they responded to a 911 call after a witness had seen an altercation occur between the couple. But after roughly an hour or so of roadside interviews, Petito was the one described as the potential aggressor in the case, and the couple were instructed to separate for the night without any charges being filed. The new selfie that we now have this comes from Petito's phone, it shows Petito's injuries far more clearly, and her attire in this photo matches the attire that she had on in the body camera video. In the body cam video, Petito says that Brian didn't punch her, but rather grabbed her, and that she was cut by a fingernail, a cut that explains what we're seeing here in this selfie as far as the blood that is smeared on her face. In addition to the physical injuries clearly written here on Petito's face is just a look of pure pain. Gabby clearly distraught, tears in her eyes. We have reached out to the Moab Police Department. This, of course, we have their statement. It's on WFLA.com. I'm going to read it here. It's on my screen. It's a statement from November of 2022, where it's a long statement, but I'll say that they say in their statement, their officers are not responsible for Petito's murder and couldn't have foreseen what was going to happen to Gabby Petito, of course, in the future at the hands of Brian Laundrie. They say that they're going to ardently defend against this lawsuit. They're ardently going to defend their police department, which tells us, of course, that a settlement in this case is unlikely. There's also the lawsuit that is pending here in the state of Florida. Gabby Petito's parents filing lawsuit against Brian Laundrie's parents. And now the newly added co-defendant in that case is longtime family attorney for the Laundries, Stephen Bertolino in New York. We have the latest reporting on both of these lawsuits, the one in Florida, the one in Utah. You can find it all on WFLA.com, the WFLA app.
All right, everybody. WFLA is the news source. So this picture allegedly is of her blood smeared near her eye, a fingernail. I guess when he grabbed her, maybe he scratched her by mistake. I don't know. No matter how you want to weigh the picture, it's naturally in no comparison to the fact that she died. He admitted that he killed the young lady in a journal found in a swamp down in Florida. One would ask themselves, why did she stay with him? Because you're going to ask that question because she did stay even after that body cam footage. Why did she stay? Why didn't she call her parents? Hey, can you come fly out here? Can you help me drive back? Obviously, she was afraid to drive a long drive to either New York or Florida. And possibly the ultimate reason is she still wanted to work things out with this young man, which she did. Because I don't know if he held her keys hostage or wouldn't give her keys back to her. I don't know. But I would think at some point, we know that can't be true because he allegedly flew back home to empty out some type of storage facility unit. I've never really heard much about that ever mentioned. But the point is he did leave her. So one would assume he had to have left her keys with her. That was her chance to escape this person. But we have learned with domestic abuse, altercations, people forgive the person and they continue on with the person. And sometimes it ends up tragic, such as this case here. I do not know what happened on that fateful day or who said what to whom. Naturally, he's given his half-baked version in a journal. But you can't believe that because, one, you weren't there to say who said what to whom and how it ended up. The point is, it didn't have to end up with her being dead. You realize that this isn't working out, you and this young lady. One of you should have faltered and left the other one. But they didn't, and that's the point of the story. Neither one left the other one. Now, did he fly back to Florida to orchestrate a premeditated killing when he got back? I don't know. But one could say that he did. Because it's strange to spend all this money flying back and forth to only kill the girl and then come back using her cards and using her van and then act like what? She just walked off and left you her van, which anybody with sense would know that that doesn't make any sense. So it almost seems orchestrated. And naturally, he wouldn't tell the truth because he cowardly killed himself. Do you agree with the family filing a suit against Moab and also the Laundries and their attorney? Of course, naturally, Bertolino feels like, well, I can't be in the lawsuit because I represent these people. And how am I going to be also in the lawsuit and also represent these people? I don't know. You're entitled to your opinion. Some experts say it's not legal to sue Bertolino. I don't know the law verbatim to say either or. But it's a ratchet case. because his family knew something was awry with him and Gabby. There's no way you could not have known. And I won't doubt that he told them either before he came back to Florida or when he touched down that he had hurt the girl. The fact they cut the family off shows they had knowledge of something. Because why would you cut them off, block them on social media, stop answering their phone calls, never return their calls or texts? You knew something. So that makes you guilty. That makes you guilty. You had knowledge. You're never going to admit you had knowledge, but you had knowledge he had harmed the girl. And anyone with a logical thinking mind would have said to themselves, he did something to her because she hasn't resurfaced and her parents are calling us and wanting to know where she is. And she was last with our son. So he has to know what happened to her. But the gist is they don't have to tell anybody what they know and what he told them or what they thought happened. Very wicked story. And these people obviously are still grieving, as they should. And as you see, they don't have any empathy for his parents. See, everyone's different. In the Tyree case, you have a grandmother praying for the officers who beat and stood by and aided in the beating of her grandson. Now, go over here to Florida. The Petito Schmidt family, they don't have any empathy for Brian's family because they believe they are cohorts after the fact. And we now learn the mother didn't have nice things to say about the girl before death. And that's not good either. But as I've always told you, that how people treat you in death is what they thought of you when you were alive. See, stay woke. Obviously, they had no regard for her when she was living, because to age your son after the fact means you had no respect for her when she was living. And you've coddled your son to become this monster that ended up killing the girl. And that means he's gotten probably his wicked ways from his parents, because they are oblivious to what they've put these family through by aiding their son before he went off into the swamp and killed himself. And their behavior after the fact shows they had knowledge. And they didn't give a damn. They don't give a damn. That's my commentary pertaining to the pictures. She made a sound decision to stay with Brian. And I'm sure her parents, they beat themselves up every day knowing that she made that decision. And by no means does that warrant him to kill her. But this happens all the time when people stay in relationships with people who they can't get along with and they have violent tendencies. And also in that video cam, she admits that she was pushing on him and shoving him. So one could ask, did this go on a lot with them? Both of them hitting on each other, pushing, shoving. And naturally, bad things happen when you push and shove and hit each other. A person could fall, hit their head. Now you have a person bleeding out. You may not have intended for something bad to happen, but common sense will tell you anything can happen once you're putting your hands on a person. And sadly, these two made a decision to stay with one another. And it cost her her life. So I would advise anyone in an abusive situation to get out. Don't wait to see if it's going to get better, because usually it does not. And your life is more important. Your life is more important. Thank you for joining me. 8 officers face charges. Memphis, Tennessee. Gabby Petito injuries revealed. And my last conversation is going to be pertaining to the Detroit rappers' families. They are frustrated with this investigation. 2 people are in custody, one in Detroit, and one was arrested here in Knoxville, Tennessee, in connection to this crime. What is his role? And also a 15-year-old was also apprehended in the automobile that had no plates on it. Very interesting information. This was uploaded 23 hours ago. Fox 2 Detroit is the source. Thank you for joining me. So far, authorities are remaining tight-lipped about the investigation, which that is expected. Fox 2 Detroit.
One of those victims was Montoya Givens from Detroit. He spoke with his mom today, and she tells us they're really in the dark about this investigation, especially why her son was targeted here.
I feel numb right now.
Katina Fogel too nervous about her safety to talk anywhere but on the phone to us. That's because she doesn't know why her son, 31-year-old Montoya Givens, was killed. He just got out of prison for carjacking and robbing well-known Detroit pastor Marvin Winans back in 2012, seen here in one of our original stories of the case.
10 years of my son's life was taken away from me. Then I get him back for 10 months and he dead? How am I supposed to feel?
Prison is where Givens met the other victims, Armani Kelly and Dante Wicker, the trio aspiring to become rappers. Mom Katina says she was just getting to know her son again, who wanted a fresh start out of life.
He's a very joking, funny guy. He one of them funny people.
The trio was missing for 2 weeks, last seen in January, all together on the way to a gig at Lounge 31 on Detroit's east side. It was canceled last minute. Then last week, their bodies were discovered under debris in the basement of this abandoned apartment building in Highland Park. A 15-year-old boy has been charged after getting caught with Armani Kelly's car in Boring. And sources tell Fox 2 last week a Highland Park man was arrested in Knoxville, Tennessee on separate charges, but is wanted for questioning in this triple murder.
What I say is you reap what you sow. What goes around comes around. Because at some point, what you did is going to eat at you.
Michigan State Police are heading up the investigation. They have not indicated anything on motive here and say the investigation is heading in the right direction. Reporting in Highland Park, Jessica Dupnack, Fox 2 News.
Let me go back to this woman's.
He just got out of prison.
Hold on one second.
It's because she doesn't know why her son, 31-year-old Montoya Givens, was killed. He just got out of prison.
Let me stop right here. Montoya Givens, 31, now deceased alongside his friends. All of them were incarcerated together in prison. His mother speaking here in this commentary, fearing for her safety. She only spoke on the phone with the news agent. The part of this commentary that I don't like is the fact that she said 10 years of her life were taken away from her. Well, ma'am, your son did that to himself because he carjacked someone. Famous gospel family member, he robbed the man of his car. So your son was apprehended and went to prison. So when you say you were, that this makes no sense. He was taken away from you. No, your son gave up his freedom to rob a person. So the exchange was that the judicial process put him inside of a prison for 10 years. That was your son's choice. And then you end this commentary with saying what goes around comes around, it's going to eat them up. Well, one could say, what about what these guys did in the street, which got them in prison? See, this goes back to what I said about detectives saying we're not judging these people when we go to the crime scene, no matter if they have a past, if they've done wrong to others, we're here to conduct an investigation. But you see, maybe somebody in the street hasn't forgotten what they've done. Could this be some payback for some way back? Because many people are speculating on social media why this happened. Some people think because of one of the guys going live on a Facebook Live, dropping names, talking about things that happened in prison, blah, 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 that possibly somebody sought revenge on him for running his mouth. I don't know, because sometimes it's something simple as past discretions. So just like you feel like this crime should be eating up the people who killed these kids, your son, some might say, well, did your son have any remorse for robbing that man of his automobile? And these two other guys, did they have any remorse for the people they committed crimes against? You see, it's all the same. It's a vicious cycle. They went out here and committed crimes against persons, did time in prison, came out, and now they're dead. And perhaps it's retribution on the crimes they committed. As I've told you all before in commentary, that the earth has to get it back. It's an old saying. The devil's got to pay it back, what he stole. Listen carefully now. The devil's got to pay it back 7 times. Now, they say God is not a vengeful God. That's why sometimes the preacher would say, why are you saying God did it? Could it be that the devil did it? God had no play in the crime. It was the devil who was at work. So could this be, as I said, retribution? The earth has to get it back. These 3 guys were not so nice guys in the street, whether they were young or not. Wrong is wrong. And most people know right from wrong, whether they're 16 or they're 18 or they're 22. You know that car didn't belong to you. You know you had no business taking a weapon inside of a business, sticking up the people, hitting the people, beating the people up, shooting the people, and expect that, okay, I did 10, 15 years. Somebody is going to just act like I didn't do that. No, it doesn't work like that. Whether you stole, robbed, fornicated, forged documents, lied, stole something, fudged a report, it's wrong. And most of us know when we're doing wrong. We don't have to ever admit it, but we know we did wrong. So when you make this comment in this newscast, it's disrespectful to say 10 years of your life was gone without your son. Well, your son did that. Your son committed a crime, and rightfully so, he went to prison for it. And thankfully, he didn't harm the man, to my knowledge. I don't know if he harmed the guy in stealing the car, but nonetheless, he took the man's car. And I doubt that he just walked up and said, get out of the way, give me your car. He possibly used a weapon. So this man probably was fearful, scared. Who knows what trauma that caused him being carjacked. Whether your son was a young person or not, it doesn't matter. You see, you are now playing the role that these other people have been in before. People who've been robbed, carjacked, home invasion, but survived. Perpetrator didn't kill them. Now you're sitting here mourning the loss of your child when your child was not such a nice person at one time. And it's not to say that he has committed anything since he's been released from prison, that he had not changed his life around, that he not have set a tone for his sins. But we don't know what he and his friends have been doing since they've been out. We don't know if they have wronged or spotted someone since being out. We don't know all the details. And no one is perfect. But in the end, these 3 guys went to prison for something. And as I said, the earth has to get it back. What the devil stole, he's got to pay it back 7 times. And this could be just a case of payback. I don't know. I make no claims of why these 3 men were murdered in an abandoned building in Highland Park, Michigan. But they were killed for some reason. And one of the connections is right here in my domain, Knoxville, Tennessee. You're hearing this commentary. The guy was arrested on separate charges. He also violated parole. So I don't know if he violated parole by going up to Michigan or he's done other things here. When I get more information, I will bring you an update to that said information. No one wants their child murdered. But you also have to look at the child. What he's been doing, he or she. Have they been involved in other nefarious activities since being released from prison? Have they harmed anybody since being out? And is it a possibility that they were collateral damage? Maybe one was not the target, but they were in the wrong place at the wrong time. They were hanging with someone that was the target. I do not know. But I know that you are judged by the company you keep. And many people don't like to hear that. Well, they're nice to me. They ain't done nothing to me. But I've told a female this months ago. And this is in the scripture. It says it in Psalms. Thou shalt not sit at the table with the wicked. And I think it's befitting when I said it to this female. You sit at the table with these people on the weekend who keep up a lot of chaos. Month for month, they would go out, grown-ass individuals, fighting other people, people fighting them, people wanting to fight them. And you think by sitting at the table with them that it doesn't mean anything. You're not involved in anything. You don't condone anything. Oh, but it doesn't work like that, you see. Because you see, an outsider will see you at the table and think, oh, they're with the shit too. Stay woke now. Oh, they must be just like them because they sit with them every weekend. They hang with them every weekend. Now, they may not even hang with each other outside of the club or the bar, but people see them sitting together. Stay woke now. So why would I think you're not like them? See, this is what people don't understand about sitting with people. You're going to be sitting with people that are actually strangers. They can invite you to a table. Hey, here's a free seat. Sit on down. You don't know them from Adam. You might sit with them occasionally, going out somewhere, but you really don't know them. Then you could start to get to know them and then see signs that I really don't really care for them too tough, but you keep your peace. Always remember somebody's watching that table, the interaction. They don't have to know how you really feel about these people because the assumption is you must like them because you're sitting there. And I can honestly say I've sat with people just because there was nowhere else to sit or I chose not to sit in another area. I didn't really care for them. I did not feel positive towards them, but I kept my peace. But the point is, people see you sitting with people who are known to stay in chaos, they will group you the same. So it's no different than hanging in the street, running around with people. People will judge you accordingly, assuming you're down with whatever these people are doing. And if they are in nefarious dealings and you run with them, you hang with them, why would I think you're not like them? Just saying. Because if I don't know any of you, when I hear bad things about one or two, I can automatically just assume you're the same. Doesn't mean that you are. But some people will judge you and say you're the same. So what happened in that apartment building? It is alleged that one of the guys lived in an apartment building. That's even more crazy. Now, were they dealing in drugs, activity? They chose this building to meet up in, do things, smoke, drink. What's the situation? We know that when people come out of prison, sometimes they don't have family to support them. They don't have a place to stay. We also know that when you're paroled, two were allegedly paroled out from prison, you have to have an address. You have to have a legal address. That's the only way you can be paroled. So why were they in that building? Did somebody come hunt them down at the building? Did somebody watch them go in the building? Because if one was living there, then that means somebody's seen you going in there. And most people walking by the building is going to know, hey, this building is abandoned. So if you're doing something, people watch. People watch. So if these guys were dealing in nefarious activities such as drug trafficking, drug selling, maybe somebody had been watching them go in and out of the building and assumed they had money on them. It has also been said on that night they were supposed to perform at a club, but something was up with technical difficulty. Maybe somebody thought one of the guys had money or two guys had money. Oh, those are the guys that are supposed to perform. They're up and coming rappers. See, we don't know. Do not know the connection of the guy in Detroit apprehended, the guy here in Knoxville, Tennessee. Why did he fly back down here naturally to get away from whatever he did up there? And we have a lot of drug trafficking coming out of Detroit here in Knoxville, Tennessee. We have a lot of young men coming down here to hustle, women and men, trafficking drugs to hustle, living here. We've had murders from people who came from Detroit, from Michigan. A lot of crime has come to Knoxville, Tennessee, deriving out of the state of Michigan and the Detroit metro area. And lo and behold, 3 guys are found dead in a basement, rat-infested basement, frozen. And the link is Knoxville, Tennessee. Very interesting. So one would say he ran down here, suspect, after possibly killing these guys for whatever reason. Why were these men murdered? Was it something personal from a long time ago that they did to someone? Or was it something they've done or said since being released from prison? Or was it something that they did in prison? Since one decided to do a Facebook Live and talk on and on about what was going on in prison, who snitched, didn't snitch. That's what he was talking about in a Facebook Live before death. We're not going to talk about who's snitching, but we know the rule of being in gangs. Allegedly, you're supposed to keep your mouth closed and not speak on anything that went on in prison or who snitched, didn't snitch, gang codes, blah, blah, blah. But as I've said, these young people don't really know what gang banging is about. It's a bad situation to be gang banging anyway. But they don't follow protocol as the gangbangers did a long time ago. And then you have all these little baby branches of Bloods, Crips, GDs, Vice Lords, Latin Kings, so on and so forth. And they're doing their own thing. There's really no code of ethics. They're doing what they want, making their own rules. So let's ask that question too. Were all 3 of the decedents gang affiliated? Is this gang related? Did one or more get their friends dead in that abandoned building? Who knew they were there? Did they invite someone there? Did they tell somebody they would be there? Were they watched? Is this an issue of robbery? Someone thought they had money, drugs. Is this retribution from past sins? Something that happened in prison? Something pertaining to the Facebook Live or Lives, his podcast, Mr. Marley Whoop. What is the truth? I'm going to play you commentary from another young man's channel. And I'm just going to play just to give you his perspective on the crime. I believe he's a Chicago native, my home as well. And I'm going to play his commentary. Thank you for joining me. Hood Educated is the source. Update on the missing rappers in Detroit and the Knoxville connection. This is about 27 minutes long. I'm just an hour in, so I'll go ahead and play most of this commentary. Hope he doesn't mind me playing this commentary. This is for educational purposes only. Thank you for joining me.
understanding from a hood brother's point of view to all of you here, there, and everywhere. Now check me out. Before we get into the demonstration, allow me to make a correction real quick. I did receive the flyer with Marley Whoop, information on there and everything, and he was scheduled to perform January 21st at Lounge 31. Like I said in my last video, I'm not trying to make them look bad or nothing like that, but when we need to correct things, we need to correct things. So I was provided, not from them, but from one of the hood educated residents, or I guess they provided me the flyer, showing me that Marley Whoop was scheduled to perform at Lounge 31. Now let's get into this demonstration.
Now, this hood educated says someone gave him the flyer to show the young men on the flyer to prove that they were supposed to perform at this Lounge 31 in Detroit. It is a place where local rap artists perform, but allegedly there was a technical difficulty, so the performance did not commence. Well, I would have liked Mr. Educated to have shown the flyer to show verification to the audience, because we live in an era where people like receipts, such as myself, and they like to see his name, the other guy's name, or whomever on the flyer to show that his name was on the itinerary. Now, flip side, I do not know if these people have any involvement, the club owner, whomever booked them. So we have to ask that question. How did they get on the itinerary? Did they ask to be on the itinerary, or they were asked by the people who own the club? Does the club have some involvement in the deaths of these three men? Are the deaths the reason why the show, they didn't open that night? Because one would wonder, well, even if they didn't show up, would you still not open to have a club night? You can still have people come to the club. But if it's technical difficulties, and one would think that it has something to do with possibly speakers, music, or not having a DJ, I don't know. Just saying. Let's continue.
At Lounge 31. Now let's get into this demonstration. Now listen, y'all, right? Breaking news, okay? A man has been arrested in Knoxville, Tennessee. They're not calling this man a suspect, right? But they want to question him about the three murders. Now, those of us who are hood educated and not lane related, like, we understand what this means right here. Like, I mean, come on, man. Like, you want to talk to me about three murders for what? That means that you believe that I had something to do with it, or you believe that I know something about these three murders. But, they dress it up like that and say, well, no, he's not a suspect and nothing like that. And that's just to, like, to lower your guard down so that you can feel comfortable and say, yeah, I'll talk to y'all, man. What's going on? But in real reality, they looking at you like something led us to you and we need to talk to you, right? And so without further ado, I would like to play this news reporter, and y'all can check out her portion of understanding. And then after that, we're going to get deep into this demonstration. Check it out.
My sources telling me late this afternoon that there has been an arrest made in connection to the murder of these three aspiring rappers. Now, they are not calling him a person of interest at this point, but police want to talk to this person, want to question them. Now, what we do know is that man, he's a Michigan man. He was arrested early this morning in Knoxville, Tennessee. He's actually being held on a parole violation down in Knoxville right now, in which case he will be extradited, and police want to talk to him about the murder of these three aspiring rappers, a story we have been covering very closely. And again, as you mentioned, everyone feared that they possibly would be found dead, and that is exactly what happened.
Now, one of the things that stuck out to me in this whole thing, y'all got to excuse me. Look, I don't know how to speak English. I've been here all my life, but I don't know how to speak English. So when I say words like "sunt" and look, that's just how I talk, right? Now let's get into it. Now, one thing that stuck out to me about this whole thing, about what that lady just said, is this right here. She said that the man that they arrested in Knoxville, Tennessee, was on parole. and he's being held for a parole violation, right? The other thing that stuck out to me is this right here. How did they know that he was in Knoxville, Tennessee?
Very good question. How did the police know this guy was in Knoxville, Tennessee? And he's very correct. The wording is everything, because we have learned in investigations, the police sometimes have an idea of a suspect or know of a suspect, and they do not put out that they are suspect. They usually say, we're looking for Pookie Ray Ray for questioning, information, eyewitness. But all in all, they are the suspect. Did the 15-year-old boy implicate this guy they arrested in Knoxville, Tennessee? The guy who was arrested in Detroit in connection to the 15-year-old, because they looked at the 15-year-old's phone and found text messages from the guy they arrested there. Did he give up the goods on his cohort, which was arrested here in Knoxville, Tennessee? Who told it? And are there others involved besides the two in custody in relations to this crime? One 15-year-old boy who was driving one of the rapper's cars. The car belonged to his mother. The guy in Detroit, that's the second party. And then the third party arrested here in Knoxville, Tennessee. How many people are involved in the murders of these three friends?
See. How? The third thing that stuck out to me is this right here. If you are on parole in Michigan, what are you doing in Knoxville, Tennessee? To the point where you done violated your parole. When did you violate your parole? Did you violate your parole by going to Knoxville, Tennessee? Right? Because that's a parole violation. If you on parole and you go out of state and you don't notify your parole officer, you done violated your parole. So we got to understand something, right? From the way things is looking, that's why he violated his parole. It wasn't anything other than that, because if it...
What's the truth? The information I played you earlier states that the guy arrested here had separate charges that don't have anything to do with the crime up north. So I'm assuming that he had charges already here in Knoxville. And his name was given up pertaining to the three dead bodies in Detroit. And that's why they arrested him here in connection to the crime in Detroit, and also violation for whatever he committed when he lived here in Knoxville. So how long has he lived in Knoxville? Was he in and out, traveling back and forth? Does he have an address here in Knoxville? Was he living in Knoxville at the time of the crime, but went to Detroit to visit, hang out, have fun, kill these young people, and then ran back here to hide, but then his name was given up and he was arrested here and also violated parole? What are his charges to violate parole? How long did he do time? Where did he do time? When did he get out? Did he have a legal address here? Because naturally you have to have an address to be paroled. When did he go up north to be implicated in the crimes there of the three guys? When did he get back here? And who gave up his name in connections to the three rappers, or two rappers and a friend? Thank you for joining me. You are now listening to The Vault XL.
That's why he violated his parole. It wasn't anything other than that, because if it was, they would have probably been on him, right? They probably would have been on him. They probably would have been, down there in Knoxville, Tennessee. They probably would have been Gabby. But now they want to question him.
Now, I will disagree with Mr. Hood Educated. Many people have crimes, they have committed crimes and they have violated probation or parole, and they're right there under the nose of police, and the police have not gathered the suspect because, one, they don't know where they are. They don't know where to look. And if a person does not work, does not have a full-time job, part-time job, does not draw any type of income from the government to where an address can be used, social security number, they're living from pillar to post, house to house, place to place, you won't know where to look for him or her. And that has happened with people who are Knoxville natives, Tennessee natives. They are right here with an active warrant for their arrest for whatever reason, and they're living from place to place, and the police have no idea where to apprehend. And due to the fact that this person 9 times out of 10 was not born in Tennessee, not born in Knoxville or the surrounding area, came here for whatever reason, he possibly lives place to place and does not have an address on file. If he has an address on file, it's just probably some random place he's given for documentation, but maybe not actually stay there constantly or permanently. Thank you for joining me.
Gabby. But now they want to question him about 3 murders. So that lets us know that it wasn't no violation, you know what I'm saying, before, because if it was, they knew he was in Knoxville, they'd have been when they got him. But now, after these 3 murders, he skipped town, go to Knoxville, Tennessee, and they own him. How did they know he was in Knoxville, Tennessee? Too much of this going on.
Running them out.
Too much of this going on. But now, this is what we need to do, y'all, because this right here is very important. Y'all remember that video? Man, that video was eerie, wasn't it? Y'all remember that? Let's go over the video, y'all. Let's go over it. And I'm talking about let's go.
He is now getting ready to play the video that is on Facebook Live. You can watch it if it's not been taken down by family members. This is a Marley Whoop talking about things that went on in prison, dropping names of people in conversations, dropping names of somebody that snitched that he confronted on the yard. And also, he also gives a name of a person that allegedly can verify him confronting this alleged snitch. He talks about his relationship with that certain guy who was down with him, stole a verse from him, but the guy's out and hasn't responded to him since they've been out. Is there a reason why this guy hasn't responded to him? Is it that he really don't like the guy? Did he find out about this Facebook Live? Did these other people in that he mentions in this video find out about the Facebook Live, sent out a hit? I don't know. You're entitled to your interpretation. Let's go ahead and get into this information.
Let's go over it. And I'm talking about let's go through it with a fine-tooth comb, because there's some things in this video that we need to pay close attention to that I think that it went over all our head, especially with this man right here being arrested in Knoxville. Check it out.
What's the deal with y'all, man? What's good? Niggas just tapping in right quick with y'all, man, trying to see what's up. But man, for real, I'm really trying to figure out, like, is everybody not, we just not gonna say if niggas talk, man? If you know if a nigga talk, we just not talk about it. That's what we doing now. You know what I'm saying? For that shit feel like the way. For some of these niggas be out here right in your face. And you know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna lie, I just be seeing shit, bro. I seen some stories. I'm like, man, we gonna keep playing like this, dog. You know what I'm saying? And you know what I'm saying? If anybody take that shit personal, that shit what it is. You feel me? I don't be feeling that shit. Niggas be out here like, I don't get it. Y'all niggas be seeing them motherfucking stories, man. I know y'all be seeing these niggas, man, pretending like, oh, that nigga standing up on this case. Like, bro, that nigga bug. We gonna keep that shit a secret? Like, what's going on? I don't fuck with it. Man, all these niggas, man, talking about like, I don't know, bro. I ain't gonna lie. I just be seeing that shit, bro. I be seeing that shit, and I'm like, I can't fuck with it, man. We gonna just keep this shit a secret. The nigga I'm talking about, right? I ain't gonna lie to y'all niggas, man. Me and Dog ain't really had no issues like that. But the nigga I'm talking about, a specific nigga, man, I told him that shit in prison. You feel me? We was on the yard together, you know what I'm saying? I looked at him, and I put that nigga on the phone like, I ain't got your paperwork, but I know what I know. And that nigga tried to put it on another nigga. He tried to put it on another nigga. The nigga named Debo Money. Well, shit, there we go right there. I'm talking about Debo, man. That nigga, he tried to put it on Debo Money, though. And I know Debo Money, man. Like, I know this nigga. You know what I'm saying? That nigga was the first nigga ever put me in the studio. I know Debo Money. Like, that's my nigga, bro. I fuck with Debo. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna lie. He ain't hollered back at me since I've been home. You feel me? I popped at him a couple times, but that nigga ain't hit me. And no bullshit. That nigga got one song on one of his mixtapes from back in the day. I ain't gonna lie, that nigga stole my song. I wrote that bitch in the county. We was in Ed County in Max. I wrote that song, and that nigga, he had rewrote my shit. He rewrote my verse. And I got nothing but respect for that nigga though, because you know that nigga was rapping his ass off, and he really made me sit down and focus when I went to prison. But this nigga Debo, Eastside Debo, light skin, Jamie Lane, Rah brother, 2014. Me, Rah, and Gohan, all of us was in what's that shit called? Downtown in like the circuit or the district, whatever the little one is, across from the Capitol. We was all in that bitch. And nigga, when we was in that bitch, Rah was like, yeah, bro, that's my brother, but he balls. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if them niggas gonna remember me. I wasn't nobody. You know what I'm saying? I was nobody. I was just north side, Turner Street North, you feel me? But that nigga did tell me that shit. I knew it. Cause everybody in the streets, if you play the streets a little bit, you heard about that shit when Dog had did what he did, man. We was in prison at level 5. He a peace out, he moving. Nigga, I know some lures, I fuck with it. It's a nigga named Crazy K, just went back to the joint. You know what I'm saying? He came home and banged straight out, caught a carjacking and shit. And that's like his 3rd double date, nigga, on everything. So, bro, Crazy K, across the hall from me. This is the first time I ever wrote a book. That nigga Crazy K had the idea, the plot for it. I wrote that bitch up. And Crazy K said he fucked with Damien. He fucked with Debo. I said, oh, okay. Well, I'm like, well, listen, you fucking with Dog, I'm gonna be 100. I'm just put the shit out there. This is what I know. Any nigga from Lansing, I tell you the exact same thing. We know all this shit happened. You feel me? We all know it happened. I just don't got the paperwork, cause nigga, I was in the world when it happened. I didn't give a fuck, nigga. It was a clear, everybody knew. You say any Lansing nigga that was out there in the streets, no. You know what I'm saying? Cause that nigga had a lot of love, a lot of respect for he did that shit, for real. You know what I'm saying? We was little niggas. You know what I'm saying? I used to kind of look up to the nigga a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And my nigga Skull was there. My nigga Skull was there. I told that nigga that shit, man. Hold on. Let me see this shit. That nigga Skull was there, nigga. Yeah. I was there when that shit happened, nigga. That nigga Skull was in that bitch. Nigga. Dog had said he tried to bite down on me on the big yard. The nigga ain't want no smoke. Hey, you remember this shit, Scout? Go ahead, talk say, you remember this shit? Remember the nigga Debo from my way? Yeah. That nigga, yeah. When I put him on the floor, I don't know if he wasn't in the hole with me. When I put that nigga on the floor because he told, I see this nigga. They posted stories for that nigga like, oh, that nigga, he's standing tall on this case, like nigga. You already told. It don't matter, nigga. This shit don't matter,
Money. Oh, you love money, nigga, son.
Oh, I ain't never ran into you, bro.
I done ran to you, I don't know you, though.
Yeah. I was I remember you guys. I never ran into you.
Frank Love, I be that red.
I already know that, nigga.
I'll be that red, boy.
All right, brief intermission. Was there some animosity in this commentary with him speaking to these guys? He has a red scarf around his neck, but it's got blue in the scarf. They basically say he violated. So did they, at this point, feel like he was suspect? Could this be the motive for the murders? I don't know. I don't assume anything when it comes to people in the street, people yapping on lives. I just don't.
Y'all did you all, blood.
I appreciate it, nigga. I'm happy to see everybody out the bitch.
Everybody. You always bad for the same.
Man, the same. This nigga Skull, man, his bitch bossed his life up. This nigga taking helicopter rides and shit.
Poncho, we told
Nigga was on helicopter rides. Hey, listen, and whoever the camera person was, they was doing their job. That nigga was that nigga did, man. He came home and got on the helicopter. That's some real nigga shit.
No, you came home and did the podcast though. That's some real nigga shit.
The podcast? Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, I'm trying to. I gotta keep running that bitch though. I just feel like I'm falling behind. I got some new shit, y'all. That shit, listen.
Keep going, start paying attention to that shit.
Hey, so you say a week, man. I'm trying to pull up at your shit or some shit, cause I'm gonna end up picking up Jug, man. I said I'm gonna end up picking up Jug.
You about to, when you come down there?
Yeah.
You gonna pick up Jug?
Yeah, 9 times again, I ain't gonna leave that nigga sit around.
Pick him up, man. Shit, you can pick him up. You don't get that.
I'm saying, be real with you, bro. That's my baby. I love Jug, but I don't think he got the money to get in nowhere. So I'm gonna just think we're good.
Fall back on my man.
What type of style you on, man?
Man, listen, ain't no solider nigga than Jug. He just be broke.
But what are you?
Huh? Broke as fuck, nigga, but I'm good at balancing my budget.
All I know is this, bro. If you ain't on this, bro, you ain't on this.
What is it?
Call of Duty, bitch.
I don't be playing. I don't got.
Pardon the language in this commentary. This is a young man's Facebook Live. He's no longer alive. He and his friends were murdered in an abandoned, as they call it, a bando in Highland Park, Michigan. I want to intervene right here. This is also where he messed up. You're going to say you love the guy, that's my baby, which I don't think that's a good terminology to describe another man, considering he just came out of prison. And we know that a lot of men partake in sexual relations with men in prison and also here in the street. But nonetheless, you're saying that's your boy, but then you say he's solid, but he stays broke. That's not good. That's not good at all. You're on a Facebook Live. People watch the live. People share the lives if they're able to share it from your page. You're going to vouch and say this is your guy. You love him. He's your baby, blah, blah, blah. But then in the same conversation, you're saying that the boy stays broke. The man stays broke. That's a diss in itself. So I'm wondering, the guy Jug, is this happen to be one of the guys he died with, or this is another guy? Because what'll be interesting if we find out Jug, because you know they use all type of nicknames for their associates, isn't one of the guys that died with them in the apartment building. Checkmate. Is Jug one of the guys that died in that abandoned building? Because if he ain't, hey, he could possibly be a suspect. I don't know. I do not claim to know who murdered these young men or the motive. But I know that going on a Facebook Live, putting on a Facebook post, publicly talking bad about a person, but in the same breath saying you love them, that ain't going to fly. And I don't give a damn if it was two women talking. One of the women would be offended to hear her friend say, oh, I love her to death, but she stay broke all the time. That's a diss. So besides you wearing a red scarf with blue in it, you making derogatory comments about your friend staying broke. Yeah, one would say you talk too much. And that's sad to say because he's now no longer alive. And it's possible that these things he said in this live and possibly other live podcasts got this boy and his friends murdered. Could be. I'm not into conspiracies because, as I said, I do not know why he and his friends were murdered. But dissing your own homeboy right here, saying he was broke, that was wrong. That's something you keep to yourself. Damn, he ain't never got no money. Or you say it to a close confidant. But even if you talk about a person behind their back and say, you know, they're always broke, they've never got no money, I got to foot their way, blah, 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 a person still could go back and tell them. And you can get your life lost just on something you said about a person. We know this is the street. This is people. People pop off over the most mundane of things. And what's mundane to you is not mundane to me. We will see. Let's finish this content. Thank you for joining me. Vote Excel. Join the discussion.
I don't be playing. I don't have time to be playing games, nigga. I'm outside with it, nigga. I'm playing real life, nigga. I'm not on the game with this real life shit. Nigga, I'm not, this not GTA, nigga. I'm playing in real life. I'm out here making rules and shit, nigga. I ain't got time for that. Talking about all blackouts over here. Nigga, you still playing shoot 'em up bang bang?
No, in real life though. That shit really became real life.
Oh man.
We gonna touch the shoot 'em up bang bang Monday too. You gonna put that on your next thing? I mean on your next so. You know, if you on the podcast, Bro, if you go up, nigga, if you win, nigga, don't just be a super. You can do the bang bang shit. I be telling people about the bang bang shit. You'll be Supreme, right? And I'll be John Brew out there singing and dancing shit. Like, hey. Bro, see, that's why everything go back. Every time, bro. You were on this bitch. Why not? I be living my life. I be living my life, though. You just living my life. Living my life. But we, nigga, I was just in that. We was all just. He was just in that bitch. That nigga was just in that bitch. My nigga, that shit be what's up, bro. What the fuck you did? Oh, yeah. I don't know. What is it? Lean back. Lean back. What the fuck? Nigga, it's just a start, bro. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. No, sir. No, sir. No, that shit was for swag. That shit was for sauce. Don't do that. Don't do that. That shit was for sauce, nigga.
I'm saying, don't come on, man. You move, bold as hell. You said that's that BBM shit. That's the bag.
Oh yeah.
I'm saying, no, you put it on for the niggas.
I almost put my man.
You violate.
No, sir.
Damn. Next time, watch your podcast, you better have a fat eye.
Nigga, next time I see your post, the next post, you got your ass beat for that. And drink. Who? How you got a big violation?
For those who don't understand what's going on in this Facebook Live, feel free to go to Facebook to watch it on Marley Whoop's Facebook content if it's still up. They had him to lean back in the video on this Facebook Live. He has a red scarf around his neck and he has the color blue inside of it, which we know that if you are blood, you're not to be wearing the color blue, allegedly. So they're telling him he's violated, blah, blah, blah. But I can remember watching a video about a year or two ago, probably about 2 years ago. It was a bunch of guys in the video. I do believe they all were bloods in the video. And some had on blue clothing. So I guess it depends on, I don't know. Don't get me to lie. I would assume, yes, you're blood, you wear red only. If you are Crip, you wear blue only or black or other colors, but not red, let's say. So that's the issue here. They're telling him he's violated. He's putting on. You entitled to your interpretation of the information? I don't know. I'm just a passenger on the train bringing you the information. Thank you very much. Vault Excel.
How you would have got a big violation for that? You would have had a big fat eye.
Big green eye.
Do you know who you're talking to?
Big green eye.
Bro, go get it. Let me see. That was certified. You put the real one on. That was certified. That was certified. Yeah, nigga, that shit for the sauce. That shit for the hoes. You know what I'm saying? That shit for the hoes. That shit for the hoes. Nigga, you quit playing with me, nigga. I'm double certified. Who you playing with? What?
No, that shit don't play, man.
Come on. Don't get mad. All right, bro, we going, bro. I'm gonna catch up for you. Right now, bro. All right, play my music, nigga. Let them niggas hear my shit on, bro. Yeah. Nigga, the 30.
So one of the guys is throwing his thumbs down like that's a no-go. So I think at this point they've possibly lost respect for him having the blue and the scarf, the red scarf. Interesting information. Are these guys in this content? You see 3 guys in the video, mainly 2. The camera panned on one guy who he told him, I know of you, but I don't know you. You know, I've never met you inside, but knows of him rather. So that's one guy. Then you have the 2 main ones that's doing all the talking, going back and forth with him. And at some point, one is putting his thumbs down in the camera. Not good. What's this young man putting on for these people, trying to make himself seem so certified, as he called himself, double certified, whatever that's supposed to mean? Because I don't keep up with the latest lingo. Did he cause this to himself by going live on his Facebook and podcast, however he's doing it, if he's doing it from Facebook, Did he say too much in this live stream and other live streams to cause the death of he and his friends?
Let them niggas say my shit now, bro. Yeah. Nigga, 37, nigga. Nigga, 18, 23, nigga, whoop. Big TK.
What stuck out to y'all in that video? Get in the comments, tell me, with everything that we just gathered now, I'm talking about with the news reporter and with the video. Let me tell y'all what stuck out to me. The simple fact that everybody in that video just got out of prison. Remember what he say? Sko was there. You know what I'm saying? Sko was there. Sko saying when I did this, you know, when I hollered at dude and put him on the floor. What about the dude that they turned the camera on? He was in prison. Hold on. All right. Remember what he said? Oh, I was up in there, but I just ain't running to you. All 4 of these men that are on this live that is very suspicious just got out the penitentiary. So what does that mean, hood educator? So what? They did time, they just got out the penitentiary. What does that mean? That means that all 4 of them, more than likely, are on parole.
Sorry about that.
And the man that they arrested at Knoxville, Tennessee, is on parole. These are connections. We connecting the dots. Now, another thing we need to understand is this right here. The 2 men that Marley Whoop was with, them brothers, was on parole. So here it is, they always in a joint together. Here it is, the man that they want to talk to is on parole. It's making sense. The dots are starting to being connected. Because that's just too much of a coincidence. You see what I'm saying? For them to be acting the way they was acting towards him on that video that we just seen, and now all of a sudden they want to talk to somebody that's on parole, that's down in Knoxville, Tennessee, caught and arrested for violating parole. See, now, the sad part about this whole ordeal is this right here. Marley Whoop couldn't see it. He could not see that the men that he was trying to be so cool with was not cool with him. And where that comes from is this right here. Whenever you are trying to prove yourself, talking about gangbangers and things like that, or not just gangbangers, in anything in life, whenever you're trying to prove yourself to a group of people, you see that they don't like you. We're not gonna act like that. Let's keep it real. You see that they don't like you, but you ignore it. You excuse it. Why? Because you are trying to get them to like you. And you figure in your mind, you fool yourself and you say, okay, I'm gonna do this, and then they're gonna say I'm cool, then they're gonna like me. I'm gonna do this, and then they say I'm cool, then I'm gonna just things that happen in life. And it happens with a lot of people. It's just not gangbanging and stuff like that. It's in the entertainment business. School, high school. Come on, y'all, we gotta be 100. Like, we trying to fit in with the group. We got that peer pressure on us. You know, we want to be in the in crowd, so what we do? Okay, we dress like them, we act like them. Oh, we ain't that in, so we got to put in a little bit more work. So then, you see what I'm saying? We do more and more. So in my mind, even though I hear a lot of people saying that he didn't see it, and at first I was thinking that, dang, maybe he didn't see it. But then when I thought about it, I was like, nah, this probably was just group pressure. He did see it, but he just excused it. But he didn't understand who he was playing with. You playing with demons. You playing with people that just don't even care about their own life. So you got to understand that they're not going to care about your life. Now, this one thing that we got to understand, and once I get done breaking this down, I'm going to get up out of here. But the unfortunate part about this whole thing is this right here. That 15-year-old boy, if he had anything to do about that murder, he gone. He can forget about it. Because we talking about 3 homicides, not just one. The man that they got already arrested in Michigan, and the brother that they just got down there in Knoxville, all their lives is finna change. They already done destroyed the lives of the people that they done killed and all their family members and stuff like that. So now all their lives is finna be changed, and they finna destroy the lives of their family members. Because like I said before, that these guys that's getting locked up for this stuff, they somebody family member too. And now somebody got to deal with them and try to take care of them while they finna do all this time in the penitentiary. It's just a messed up cycle that needs to be broken. When are we gonna get enough courage to break it? Listen, man. Let me say this to all my young brothers and some of my classic brothers. Don't be afraid to change. I understand, man. You've been living this lifestyle your whole life. You know it, right? You know what to expect. You've been selling drugs all your life. You've been pimping all your life. You've been gangbanging all your life. You've been killing all your life. Whatever you've been doing, right? You used to it. You accustomed to it. But you gotta change because listen, at the end of the day, death, misery, and a penitentiary is the rewards for living that type of lifestyle. So don't be afraid to change your life for the better. It's gonna be uncomfortable at first. Yeah, you're not gonna like it. You might not be used to it. But understand though, with that life that you're changing into, you got a better future. It doesn't have death, misery, and penitentiary in your future if you change. So don't be afraid to change, man. Accept it and live your life, not just for yourself, but for your family, your children, and your community. It's hood educated, not lane related.
All right, everybody. That's Hood Educated. Please check out his content if you need more information pertaining to any updates he's going to bring to his network. This was his own opinion pertaining to this case out of Highland Park, Michigan, and Detroit. Once again, a man here was arrested in connections to the 3 guys murdered in Highland Park, an abandoned building. A 15-year-old was also brought into custody with driving the vehicle of one of the young men, and another man was arrested in connection to the murders of the 3 men. I now have an update that just came in. My notifications. Thank you for joining me. Gonna see if I can play that information. I don't know if y'all are gonna be able to hear it or not. Its volume is kind of low. Yeah, it's not very loud. Hold on one second. Well, as you may recall, I'm going to try to, I'm just going to read it to you. One second. Okay. One moment. Okay, everybody, I'm still trying to find this article that just came up. I can't find it. Let's see. 1 second. Okay, this is News Channel 3. An autopsy has confirmed that the cause of death for 3 aspiring rappers was multiple gunshot wounds. Armani Kelly, Montoya Gibbons, and Dante Wicker went missing after a show was canceled. Their bodies were found more than a week later at an abandoned building in Metro Detroit. Investigators say that this was not a random incident and that detectives may have determined a motive. State police say no one is in custody at this time. Wow, interesting. Warren police say that they have arrested a 15-year-old male in connection to the crime. Now that's strange because they arrested someone here in Knoxville and there in Detroit plus the 15-year-old. So it says they arrested a 15-year-old in connection to the crime. Make sure I've got everything here. No one is in custody at this time. That's the end of it. That's the end of the article. Wow, that's strange. News 3 is the source. Let me see if I can find something else pertaining to this. That's very weird. Thank you all for joining me. I think they don't have a news update. I'm going to try to play it. Very weird. It's not playing for some reason.
Arrested and charged for possession of Armani Kelly's car.
Yes, he has. Gino Vici live outside of the Warren Police Department with the latest. Gino?
Well, as you may recall, all 3 of those men's cell phones were turned off around the same time they went missing, the night they went missing, I should say. And in the days following, Armani Kelly's vehicle was spotted in 3 different locations here in Warren. And now we're told a juvenile suspect has been arrested in connection. A 15-year-old suspect has been arrested and charged for possessing a stolen vehicle. That vehicle belongs to Armani Kelly, who's been missing for 12 days, along with Dante Wicker and Montoya Gibbons. After the 3 men went missing the night of January 21st, Lori Kemp has had little sleep, but lots of stress searching for the whereabouts of her son, Armani Kelly.
9 p.m., his phone stopped. Everything went to voicemail.
As in many missing person case investigations, we have to work backwards to try to find our victims.
After police said the cell phones of Kelly, Wicker, and Gibbons were turned off,
my car was moved 3 times.
Kemp tracked her son's vehicle to 3 locations in Warren in the days following. Warren police did find Kelly's vehicle last week. However, CBS Detroit has now confirmed they have arrested a 15-year-old for being in possession of it. Right now, it's not believed the juvenile is connected to the disappearance of these 3 men. And again, right now, there are 4 different police departments working on this missing persons case. In Warren, I'm Gino Vici.
Gino, thank you. And Wayne County, if he is not already, Gino Vici will become a very familiar face. You can find him on social media.
All right, everybody. 4 different agencies are working on this case. Let me read you the said information in this said article. CBS News is the source. Michigan authorities on Tuesday revealed the cause of death of 3 Detroit rappers who went missing after a canceled performance and were later found dead in a nearby city. Members of the Homicide Task Force are continuing to make progress on the investigation of the homicide of 3 men in Highland Park. It has been determined that the case of the The cause of death for each of the men was multiple gunshot wounds, read an update from the Michigan State Police via Twitter. MSP also said that the investigation also has revealed that this was not a random incident. The investigation is continuing, detectives are making progress, and we believe we may have determined a motive, quote unquote. Last month, the rappers Armani Kelly, Montoya Gibbons, Dante Wicker were supposed to perform at Lounge 31 in Detroit, but the show was canceled due to equipment problems, authorities said. Kelly was last seen leaving Oscoda about 3 hours north of Detroit around 11 a.m. on January 21st to head to the lounge. After he disappeared, his mother, Lori Kemp, tracked his vehicle through OnStar and found it at 3 locations in Warren, about a half an hour north of Detroit, according to CBS Detroit. On January 28th, the 15-year-old was arrested after driving a vehicle associated with one of the missing men, authorities said. Detroit Police Chief James White said all 3 of the men's cell phones were turned off around the same time the night they went missing. On February 2nd, MSP said via Twitter that multiple victims were found in the building on the corner of McNichols and Log Cabin in Highland Park, a city about 10 minutes from Detroit. If you need verification, CBS.com is the source. Thank you all so much for listening to this content. So we now know that all phones were turned off at the same time, which shows premeditation. So how did the person come about all 3 victims together? Because that is very, very strange. One moment, please. How did the perpetrator or perpetrators come across all 3 victims? How did they get in that building? Was this a meetup place, a hangout place? Very cold in Detroit area. Too cold to be hanging in a building with no heat, no water, no gas. Allegedly, he left the 21st. Mr. Marley Whoop, he's the light-skinned guy with the braids, at 11:21 in the morning to go handle business in Detroit pertaining to the event he was supposed to be going to, but then we find out it was canceled. So what time was that event canceled at Lounge 21? Who was the person that called his phone to tell him that it was canceled? Allegedly, a girlfriend has spoken out of this said victim that it was canceled, and he told her he was going to meet up with his other friends. And I'm assuming those are the 2 friends that were found deceased with him. Once again, what time did they get to this building? What made them go in the building? Once again, no heat, no water, no lights, no gas. So if they went in the building at night, you can't see in there. Dangerous walking into an abandoned building no matter what time of the day is. So did they go in the building during daylight time? But if he talked to the girlfriend in the evening, 9 times out of 10, after 6, it would have been near dark. Or dark. What is going on? 15-year-old arrested with the car 30 minutes away from Detroit in this car that is also believed to be the mother's car of Mr. Marley Whoop. The mother tracked it through OnStar. Thank God for OnStar. Thank God the car wasn't trashed or set on fire, pushed in the water, lake, river. What was this kid doing with the car? How did he get the car? It was also stated in earlier content that the license plates was off. So this boy was a fool to be driving around the city in a car with the plates off. So he was asking to be pulled over. So he wanted to be implicated. And they're saying he doesn't have anything to do with it, but let's just use common sense. 3 people dead. 1 was driving the car and naturally picked up the other 2 in the car. And now we have a 15-year-old driving the car with no plates on it. That sounds very suspicious to me. And I know the police don't tell everything when they give out information in a story. And naturally, they're not going to mention the boy's name because he's a minor. And then the other content I just read said no one's in custody pertaining to the crime. The article I read before. So what is the truth? Are there people in custody or not? Is this an issue of trying to preserve some of the information because of people's lives maybe becoming threatened? I don't know. But this is now seeming quite wicked because they also say they do believe they have a motive. So now we're hearing information of a motive, not mentioned yet. All 3 died of several gunshot wounds. Where were they shot? Also, don't matter to some, but some people might be curious. What led them to that building? How'd they get to that building? Were they followed to the building? What's the role of the 15-year-old? The guy that was allegedly arrested up there, he must have bonded out. What was the bond, if indeed? Or was there no arrest? You just brought him in. And the guy arrested here in Knoxville. You want me to believe the police let him out on violation, parole violations, and then also having a connection to the case up in Detroit and give him a bond? I don't believe that. No, I don't believe that. When I get more information, I will surely bring you an update, because this story is now becoming more of a plot twist with these different versions, each article bringing something different. One is saying, what? No one's in custody, which is strange to me when you have 3 dead bodies. So is it perhaps the guy up north who was talking to the 15-year-old through text? He doesn't have anything to do with it. Just they question him and don't believe that he has anything to do with it. So how did the kid get the car? And why were you all down here arresting this guy down here for parole violation, excuse me. What is his role in the killings up north? Very strange. Let me see if this article here by Detroit 20 has anything new. Okay. So multiple gunshot wounds. 2 rappers and 1 friend, not a random incident. They have determined a motive in the killing. The building was in poor condition, rat infested, making for slow progress when it came to identification of the bodies. So that means they were probably eaten by the rats. I also read one content that said they were frozen. So I don't know how an animal could eat through ice. I don't want to get too descriptive, but that's interesting. 15-year-old taken into custody with a missing car and warrant connected to the case. Detroit police said the teen is being held on 2 felony charges that are not related to this case. So that means he's committed other crimes, the 15-year-old. Very interesting. So that's new information. Michigan State Police say they have not been any arrests in the case. So that's going back to the other content. So now the guys who they brought in for questioning, they have not been arrested. Let me make that clear in this commentary. Michigan State Police say there have not been any arrests in this case. Once again, they were supposed to perform at Lounge 31 in Detroit on January 21st. Gibbons' family says the 31-year-old rode with Kelly and Wicker with plans to support their performance. So that means Gibbons was the friend. He wasn't one of the rappers. So it's Kelly and Wicker that were the rappers. Family of the victim say when the show was reported canceled, the men were not heard from. There's no way he would not call me. There's no way. And that's why part of me feels like he is gone. But I don't know if them bodies found are theirs. This is Katina Fogel, Gibbons' mother. And this is the lady that was speaking in the earlier commentary I played. Please go back to the beginning of this live. This is the one I believe speaks of the son been gone 10 years. Which I found offensive to that information, because my thing is your son committed a crime. He robbed somebody of their car many years ago, and that's why he went to prison. So it was his choice to go carjack someone, a Winans relative. That was a personal choice. So when you say, 10 years, he was taken from me. No, he took himself from you. Let's keep it real now. He made a sound choice to rob somebody, so he forfeited his own freedom. And as I said, this could be payback from other crimes they committed before going to prison. Crimes, have they done anything since being out? Parole, 2 of them. See, we don't know. The single mother says she held out hope following the announcement of bodies found, but had a gut feeling her son was among them. Very interesting. She says throughout the investigation, she has largely been left in the dark with few updates from the police. I'm hoping to God that it's not him, and I feel bad for whoever's parent it is, but I don't want it to be my child, Fogel said a few hours before police made a positive identification. If it is, I got to figure out how I'm going to bury my child. Gibbons' brother Philip said this marks the 4th loss for their family in the last 2 years. He says he's sad his brother won't get the second chance at life he believes he deserved after coming home from prison. Like that other mother said, her son did 8 years and didn't die. My brother did 2 extra years and didn't die. For him to come home and get caught up in someone else's bull crap to get your life taken away, Philip Givens said. Very interesting. Montoya Givens' family confirmed he was identified via fingerprints. We offer our condolences to their family and friends, MSP wrote in a statement. So now we have a brother by the name of Philip Givens saying for him to come home and get caught up in someone else's bull crap to get your life taken away. Is that the truth? Is this Givens guy just an innocent bystander and the mark was one of the other young men? Get their names correct. Kelly and Wicker. So Givens is just a friend who rode with Kelly and Wicker. Kelly is the light-skinned guy with the braids whose mother has been also talking to the news, and that was her truck that was stolen or given to the 15-year-old. So now you got to try to tie all this together. How do all these people know each other? Do they all know each other? So let's go there. Let me ask that question here. The 3 dead, 2 rappers and a friend, 2 up-and-coming rappers. Do they know the guy who was taken into custody in Detroit? Number 1. Do they know the 15-year-old who had possession of Mr. Kelly's car? Number 2. Do they know the guy that was brought in for questioning in Knoxville and arrested on separate charges and parole violation? Do all of these 5 people know of one another? Number 1. Are there other suspects? Number 2. Number 3, what is the motive that they have gathered? State police. Revenge, robbery, payback from older crimes, payback from crimes committed since these people have been out. The common link between all of them is that they've been to prison. As you heard this young man speaking in his commentary during this live stream, that the guys that were on the live stream talking, they also been to prison because they were, bantering back and forth about what this and that. I was trying to, decode all that street talk. Do they have anything to do with the crime? The guys on the live stream, the names he dropped during this Facebook Live, are any of those people involved, or are some of them still incarcerated? So you have to ask all those questions. The reason that the performance was canceled, was it really technical difficulty, or it has something to do with somebody that owns the club? And were those guys in the building originally and somebody walked up on them in the abandoned building? Went there to exact revenge or robbery? What was the motive for these 3 killings? And was Mr. Givens, as his brother says, Mr. Phillip, that his brother got caught up in some bull crap that had nothing to do with him? So if he believes his brother was not the target, then was the target Mr. Wicker or Mr. Kelly? Mr. Kelly, who is the mouthpiece and likes to go live and had the podcast. Are these kids dead? I shouldn't call them kids, they're grown. Are these black men dead from Mr. Kelly running his mouth on social media? That would be a shame, but this is the old saying. You have to be careful what you post to social media. You have to be careful what you say. You have to be careful name dropping, putting people on blast, and insinuating people. Because you can insinuate something about a person and people know who you're talking about. You just didn't put their name out there. Very interesting information. I want to thank you all for your time. I'm going to check out of here. Please pray for the children at Vine Middle School here in Knoxville, Tennessee. Elementary school had a very horrific incident today on the east side of Knoxville, Tennessee. A child came to a schoolhouse and brought edibles that were laced with, marijuana. And 11 children passed out. I'm going to wait for the news results, which should be already been aired. I will come back on later tonight with an update pertaining to that broadcast and the said information. I will also try to go on the ground tomorrow to the school just to give you a visual of the school and the community and possibly talk to a few people in the community and get their opinion pertaining to this interesting story. And God help the parent, because you're going to need it. Because now you're going to have DHS in your life, in your business. You will possibly not have any children in your custody, if you have children or more than this one child that brought these edibles to the schoolhouse, you're going to have a big, big problem. And I don't know if you have any major pocket change for the parents to sue you for their child passing out, but somebody will probably get a lawyer and try to find somebody to sue. That's just the American way. Thank you all so much for following the content. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $ Big Angie. 129 Cash App, stickers and chats, and welcome to the live stream. Thank you for your time. This was a 3-part live pertaining to the Detroit rapper's family's frustration with investigation. We now have new information that no one's in custody. A 15-year-old is been arrested. Other said charges. 8 officers facing charges pertaining to Tyre Nichols in Memphis, Tennessee. As most of you know, he has been buried. Prayers to his family. Justice for that heinous crime that took place. Justice for him. Prayers to the community. And also injuries pertaining to Gabby Petito's face on that webcam that came out a while back where she and Brian had an altercation. Those injuries have been revealed to the public now. Her parents are suing Moab Police Department and also the Laundries and their attorney, Mr. Bertolino. Thank you all so much for your time. You have been listening to The Vault XL.